All right, Stephen, it's 5 after, so as you're ready. And I'm not hearing anything. Are you guys hearing him? Stephen, you're muted or we can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, I'm good now. So we are going to start right now. Welcome. My name is Steve Stein. I'm the founder of BetterListen audio publishing company. More recently, WisdomFeed and WisdomFeed Plus, our new online community. And this week, super happy to do our latest incarnation of the Time to Chill Meditation Challenge. And one of our core faculty for this challenge is Gary Kraftsow. And some of you know him and some of you don't. You're in for a treat. Welcome, Gary. Let's go.
All right, Stephen, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor. And thank you all for joining, and thank you, Stephen, for hosting this event. And I'm just going to begin, as I said a moment ago before we were in the live recording. The choreography will be that I'm going to do a little presentation, maybe 10, 15 minutes or so, to contextualize, and then we'll have some 30-minute-ish practice, after which we'll have some time to share. And for us in the tradition I was trained in, which I'll mention a little bit ahead, meditation isn't just about chilling out. It's actually also work to transform our minds, and particularly at the level of our thoughts and our feelings and our behavior, which often are sources of suffering at some level. So I'm going to begin right now, and here we go. And I'm going to move along. And if you're interested in this work, then some of this work will take more time to really fully understand. So I'm just going to do an introduction to it. So according to the ancients, and I use that phrase to refer to the Vedic lineage, but also world traditions, our experience as human beings of suffering is actually the result of our, what they call, entanglement in the world of name and form. And that entanglement itself is the result of our identification with things, our attachment, our aversion, that arise as we seek to release suffering and to find fulfillment outwardly in the world of name and form. And according to the ancients, this is a kind of a misguided seeking, which itself is the result of our fundamental ignorance, they call that avidya, about the true nature of ourselves, about the true nature of the others, the world around us, and the true nature even of ultimate reality. And this kind of ongoing entanglement causes and perpetuates what the ancients called the ongoing cycle of tension and suffering that we experience in daily lives. This is what the ancients called dukkha parampara, the transmission of suffering generationally. They explain at the root of this cycle, and this comes from Upanishadic times, is the threefold bondage of ignorance or avidya, desire, kama, and action, karma. And this threefold bondage, the ancients called hridaya granthi, which can be translated roughly the knot of the heart. And interestingly, they explain that this knot of the heart actually forms the framework of our personality, our character, and is directly related to our conditioning, our conditioned mind, what the ancients called samskara and vasana. And what they're saying is that our conditioning propels us outward propels us outward looking for happiness and fulfillment in the material world and in relationship with others. And as you all know, as a result, well, they said we're caught in this cyclic existence called samsara. But as you know, because of the impermanent nature of the material world, the inevitability of change, and in terms of our relationships, because of conflicting motivations, unfulfilled expectations, frustrated desires, we inevitably experience suffering. So you can think of that in your own lives, your own experience of suffering is a broad term. It could be at many different levels. In any case, those ancients developed deep inner practices, evolved in the lineage I was initiated, in the tradition of tantric yoga, through which we can sort of symbolically cut the knot of the heart. And that process, which is symbolized as cutting the knot of the heart, means breaking our identification, overcoming attachment and aversion, realizing our true nature, and then actualizing our innate higher potentials, and then, of course, ultimately becoming free. So there are several different methods of practice that emerge within the tradition that I was initiated into called Tantric Laya Yoga. They include things like Bhuta Shuddhi, these methods, Chakra Sadhana, and Devata Yoga. And we're going to pick one of them, you'll see in a minute. And these inner practices in all three of these forms of Laya Yoga rely on complex symbol systems like chakra. You've heard of chakra, I'm sure. Granthi, kind of, which means not. Devata, which means gods and goddesses. And even things like mantra. These are symbols that these inner practices rely on. And those practices offer, once you're initiated in them, they offer practitioners a means to reduce and ultimately eliminate suffering and its causes, and to uncover and actualize what the tradition calls our innate divine potentials that lie hidden within us. So that's the context. Now, today in our meditation practice, we're going to work with the method called Chakra Sadhana with a focus, and I'll explain all this and why now, on the Rudra Granthi, and the Agnya or Agnya chakra. And we'll use the Agnya chakra's extended bija mantra as well. So simply speaking, and just as a way of thinking about it for the purpose of this practice, the chakra symbol system, there's lots of information, good information and misinformation out there about chakras. Simply speaking, the chakra symbol system offers a kind of a map that reveals, I use the expression landmines, which are in the human being sources of suffering that are buried within us, so that these landmines can be identified and deactivated. And at the same time, the chakra symbol system offers a kind of a map, like a treasure map that reveals the treasures or higher potentials that are also hidden within us so that they can be uncovered and activated. So that's about chakras quickly. About granthis, simply, granthis are the knots that keep us bound, entangled in the world of name and form. And then again, quickly, chakra sadhana is a meditation method, a method of meditation that, using the support of mantra japa, focus on the meaning, feeling, and wish or intention that is contained and revealed in each chakra. Meaning would be artha, feeling, bhava, if you're interested in the Sanskrit. And the intention is like icha or willpower. You need willpower to manifest intention, so it's related to that. And the chakra sadhana practice, which we'll do in a few minutes, uses svadhyaya, which is a kind of a process of honest self-reflection in which we identify our dysfunctional patterns. And as I said earlier, meditation is very much about the mind and how it manifests in our thoughts, our patterns, dysfunctional patterns at the level of our thinking, at the level of our feelings, and then what emerges in relation to thinking and feeling is our behavior. So in this particular chakra sadhana, we're going to have you choose your own individual issue to work with the intention of transforming dysfunctional patterns of thoughts, feelings, and behavior in relation to that issue. And these patterns will either be the cause of or will perpetuate suffering in our lives. So we'll use svadhyaya. And then the other part of it is what we call pratipaksha bhavanam, which is a process of reframing how we understand the issue that provoked our dysfunctional thoughts, feelings, and behavior. And so that we can then reframe and respond to that issue, not from the perspective of our dysfunction, but from the perspective of our higher potential. I want to talk about two more things before we begin. First is, of course, the Rudra Granthi. So the Rudra Granthi in the tradition is called the knot of ignorance. That's the word avidya. And this is a symbol of our fundamental misapprehension about the true nature of ourselves, of each other, and of the world around us. And the tradition explains that the Rudra Granthi binds us to this fundamental misapprehension and to the ongoing thoughts and feelings and behaviors that arise from this fundamental ignorance. And then the Ajna chakra, which is associated, the sixth chakra, with our faculty of intelligence. Now, just listen for a second about intelligence. This includes a lot of things like our capacity to perceive, to think, to analyze, to gain knowledge and understanding, to imagine, to retain, like remember, and to recall, and then to decide and choose, make choices, to handle abstract concepts like I'm talking about here, and to adapt to new situations, and even to manipulate our environment. And then in terms of a relevant for our ongoing lives, our faculty of intelligence enables us to establish values and priorities and set a direction for our future, and even to find a meaning and purpose in life. So the importance, now this is context of why I picked this for today, the importance and relevance of chakra sadhana on Ajna chakra in current times can't really be overemphasized. And I picked this meditation for today for many reasons, not the least of which is where we are currently in the world, even in the United States, depending upon when you're watching it at the time of recording, this upcoming election that's coming. So there appears to be a growing level of aggression. I put a lot of adjectives here: alienation, division, fragmentation, polarization, also intolerance, instability, misinformation and propaganda, uncertainty, and even violence in the world around us. So these days, we're constantly inundated with information from ever-present and often unreliable sources. So from this Ajna Chakra perspective, it's vitally important that we examine and re-examine what we think we know and understand about ourselves, about others, and about the world around us. And this is true at any time, but it's of particular importance in these very uncertain times. We all have, you and I, we all have ongoing narratives about ourselves, about each other, and about the world around us. And often these narratives are the result of our unexamined ideas and the influence of what contemporary psychologists call groupthink, rather than on our own research and critical reasoning. So this is what I was taught, actually, by the way. We must ask ourselves if we are really perceiving correctly, and are we really understanding correctly? And we must consider our sources of information and ask ourselves if they are truly reliable. Because misperception and misunderstanding can lead to troubling emotions, poor decision-making, and dysfunctional behavior, which in turn can lead to further ignorance and suffering. And this truth, I hope you're following me, is playing out as we speak on a global scale. So now, with this context, we're going to begin our practice. And this practice will be an example of an integrated practice in the style of Krishnamacharya and his son Deshikachar, who are my teachers, actually. And we're going to begin now with a specialized way of chanting the bija mantra for the Ajna chakra, after which I'm going to translate what we chanted, and then we'll bring the chant into some simple movement, some asana, just two, after which I'll guide you through a specialized Sushumna pranayama practice. We can call that a central channel breathing exercise that will be regulated by the mental, you'll be doing the mental chanting of the mantra while I chant it vocally. And that will prepare us for the chakra sadhana meditation. So we're going to begin now. And that was 14 minutes. So that was, by the way, I just was wondering if it was going to work out that way. And that's good. All right. So take a moment to just sit up straight. We're going to be doing this all on a chair. You're going to need enough room to do this. And I'll step back to a stool behind me so you get a better view when we get to that part. So I'd like you to close your eyes and just tune into your own inner awareness. Notice your habits of attention. You might be a little distracted or maybe sleepy. That would be Rajoguna or Tamaguna for those interested. And come to a state of relaxed, mindful, present awareness. And just begin to deepen your breath. And then listen to what I say. So as you're deepening your breath, I'm going to, in a moment, I'm going to guide this, and I'm going to ask you to listen when I chant. And when I'm chanting and you're listening, you should inhale. And then when I chant the same thing again, please chant with me out loud on exhale. So we'll just get the mantra going, and then I'll translate it, and then we'll move into the asana, and then the pranayama, and then the meditation. So now we'll begin. So sitting up straight, wherever you, and eyes closed if you can throughout this practice, wherever you are in your own breath cycle. Now, please inhale fully. And now exhale. And when I chant, now, here we go. Just inhale. Listen to what I chant and how long I chant. Om. That was about 5 seconds. With me. Om. Inhale. Om. Namaha. With me. Om. Namaha. Listen, inhale. Om. Aim Namaha. Together. Om Aim Namaha. So get a little longer. Inhale. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Together. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. We'll do that one more time. Oh, inhale. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. With me. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Now just stay inward. I'm going to do a quick translation. Of course, Om is a complicated, long discussion, but the core teachings about Om and what's relevant for this practice is that Om refers to, conveys, and invokes the living presence of our own true nature as consciousness itself, what the ancients called Atman. Then Aim, A-I-M, is one of the bija mantras for this chakra, the Ajna chakra. And Aim is also the traditional bija mantra for Saraswati, who's the Shakti of Brahma. And Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge and learning. And then Buddhaye literally means to buddhi, and buddhi refers to, coming from the Sankhya tradition, which is the foundation, metaphysical foundation of yoga. Buddhi refers to our innate faculty of intelligence, which includes our capacity to comprehend, to discern, to understand. Finally, the last word is namaha, and that namas means to bow or reverent salutations, but it really traditionally appears at the end of mantra, and it carries sort of the connotation of praise. So we're praising this faculty of intelligence, gratitude that we have it, and committed to doing our best, to take care of intelligence and really not just assume. You'll see that when we get into our practice. So now I'm going to just sit here. We're just going to do this together. I'm coming back here, and I'm sure you can see me. So I'm going to show you something. I'm going to do this. Inhale, raise both arms halfway, right arm all the way. This is a contralateral. And then exhale, lower my arms until they're parallel, then lower them down. And then I'll do the other side, and I'll guide it. When I chant, you'll inhale, although I'll demonstrate it while I'm doing it. And then we'll chant together on exhale. Okay? So arms at your side, sitting up straight. Wherever you are in your own breath cycle, please inhale fully. Now exhale. When I chant, do what I do. Both arms halfway, right arm all the way. Om Namaha. Chant with me. Om Namaha. Inhale the other side. Om Namaha. Om Namaha. Om Aim Namaha. Om Aim Namaha. Om Aim Namaha. Om Aim Namaha. One more round. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Last time. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Just pause a moment, but with your eyes open, watch. We'll be on the stool, and this is an adaptation of a posture we call Chakravakasana. This is the last asana. I'm putting my hands on my knees, and when I inhale, I'm pulling back on my knees, lifting my chest, and I'll chant when you do this, and then we'll chant together as you just slide your hands to your ankles, belly and chest on the thighs, chin down. And then when I chant, you'll come back up, and we'll do that. We'll just do that 3 times. So put your hands on your knees, wherever you are in your own breath cycle. Inhale fully. And now exhale. When I chant, pull back on your hands and stretch in your torso. Om Namaha. Chant as you bend forward. Om Namaha. When I chant, come back up. Om Aim Namaha. Chant as you go down. Om Aim Namaha. Last time, come up. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha, and chant. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Pause down for a moment, and then when you're ready, sit up. Now I'm going to guide you in a quick, what I call a GPS. It's a way of focusing your mind in the inner core of your being. I'll take you into the central channel. So this is a 3-part exercise before we do the pranayama, and the first 2 parts are interoceptive awareness. You're tuning into real signals returning to your brain from different parts of your body that I'll guide. And the 3rd part is a breath-guided visualization in the central channel, the Sushumna. All right, so here we go. This is all closed eyes, so close your eyes. Now bring your attention, I'll go through this quickly, by the way. It'll be like skipping stones across the water. Bring your attention to a point above your nose, between your eyes. And just wait till your mind settles there. And as you listen, you'll be differentiating those signals from all the rest returning to your brain. Like feel the tingling above your nose, between your eyes. And as soon as you feel it, drop your attention to the pit of your throat. Again, wait, your mind will settle. When it settles there, listen. As soon as those signals, you can differentiate them, they communicate to you, drop your attention to the region of your solar plexus. Wait till your mind settles in that region. Listen to the signals. As soon as you feel them, drop your attention to your navel. Listen, identify those signals returning to your brain from the navel region. And then now drop your attention midway between the navel and the pubic bone. We're going down corresponding chakra points, by the way, to the front, in the front of the body. Wait till your mind settles in that midpoint between navel and pubic bone. Wherever it settles is, by the way, the right place. Listen for those signals. When you feel them, now drop down to the perineal floor, please. At the root of your torso. Once again, wait and listen. When you feel those signals, move up now. We'll move up the back to corresponding points. Move your attention into your sacrum, which is across from that midpoint between navel and pubic bone. Wait till your mind settles in your sacrum. When you feel those signals, move up into the mid-lumbar, across from your navel, mid-lumbar spine. Wait. Listen. As soon as you feel those signals, continue your journey up into your mid-thoracic, across from the region of the solar plexus. This would be the corresponding posterior point in the body, referencing the 4th chakra. And now go up the rest of the thoracic spine to the base of the cervical spine, to a point across from the pit of your throat in the back. Wait and listen. Sometimes it takes a little longer for people to feel this one. When you feel it, move up the cervical spine to the base of the skull, across from the point above the nose between the eyes. And when you feel that, move to your crown. Now begins the 3rd part of visualization. Draw a straight line from your crown down the center of your body to your root. This is a visualization. It'll be breath guided. Think of the crown as the rooftop of a 7-story building. and you're going to take the elevator ride down. So inhale, short breath, crown down the center, the middle of your head, like the 6th floor. Exhale, back up. 2 or 3 breaths, short breaths. Inhale, crown to the middle of your head. It's a visualization guided by the breath. Exhale, middle of your head to the crown. And here's the feeling. Do it 2 more times. The feeling is that you're using the breath to open the path. So now inhale past the crown and past the middle of the head to middle of your throat. Now exhale, middle of your throat back to the crown. So it's kind of like going from the rooftop to the 5th floor on inhale, and exhale back up. Notice each time you go a floor lower, the breath gets a teeny bit longer. Let's go even further. Let's go crown past the middle of the head and middle of the throat to the middle of the chest, 4th chakra. Exhale back up. Two more times. Just feel like you're using the breath to open the central channel, core of your being. Exhale back up. Now, past the crown, all the way to the middle of the belly, behind the navel, in front of the lumbar. Exhale back up. So this is the 3rd floor. And now, all the way to the 2nd floor. Inhale, crown to the middle of the body, at the middle of the lower belly, in front of the sacrum, behind the midpoint between navel and pubic bone, and exhale back up. This is almost the longest breath. The last one will be the longest. And then finally, inhale, crown to root. And now exhale, root to crown. And do that a few times while I explain the pranayama that we'll do now. This is a visualization, what you just did, kind of opening the central channel. But because our meditation will start in the locus of the 6th chakra, and it'll end in the locus of the heart. So we'll just do crown to the heart, the middle of the chest for the pranayama. So I'll explain it really quickly. When I chant, you'll inhale, crown the heart, but you'll mentally chant with me. When I chant again, you'll hold your breath in your heart, but you'll mentally chant with me. When I exhale, you'll exhale, heart back to crown, and mentally chant with me. And then hold after exhale. I'll chant and you mentally chant with me. So you're chanting on all 4 parts of the breath mentally, coordinating it with your silent chanting with my vocal chanting. Here we go. So wherever you are in your own breath cycle, just now inhale, crown to the middle of your chest. Exhale, middle of your chest to crown. And when I chant, mentally chant with me as you inhale, crown to heart. Om Namaha, retain in your heart. Om Namaha, mentally chant to the crown. Om Namaha, hold in the crown. Om Namaha, inhale. Om Namaha, Om Namaha. Exhale. Om Namaha, Om Namaha, Om Namaha, Om Namaha, Om Namaha, Om Namaha. Now we'll change it. Inhale. Om Aim Namaha, 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 Om Aim Namaha. Inhale. Om Aim Namaha. Retain. Om Aim Namaha. Om Aim Namaha. Om Aim Namaha. Now I'll get longer. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Hold. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Exhale. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. 2 more breaths. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Last breath. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Release the breath. And now we're going to do a three-part meditation on Rudra Granthi as it works through Ajna Chakra in relation to a particular issue of your choice, which I'll explain in a moment. So in the first part of our meditation, we're going to focus on our thoughts. In the second part, in our feelings, or on our feelings. And in the third part, on our behavior in relation to whatever the issue you choose. And during the meditation, please commit, if you're willing, to honest, I'll say that again, honest self-reflection in order to surface persistent patterns in how you think, feel, and behave in relation to whatever issues come up in your life. In this case, the particular issue you choose. And you'll be asking yourself if your perception and understanding of yourself, others, and the world around you is correct. Asking yourself why you feel the way you do, and then asking yourself if you've made good choices and or if your behavior was appropriate. And the last thing is you'll commit to holding this space for yourself for whatever thoughts, feelings, and behaviors arise as you do these reflections, whether they're positive or negative or otherwise, without any judgment or rationalizations or even any conclusions. Here we go now. So bring your attention, please, to the bodily region associated with the Ajna Chakra. So in that middle of your head where we were doing our pranayama a moment ago. And take some time, this will take you a moment, to surface a current or a recent memory of an experience that caused you some trouble, some troubling emotion. It could be agitation or a sense of disharmony or sorrow related to someone or some circumstance. Just take a moment to pick something current or recent so that you really feel how this tool works. Take a moment, once you pick something, just take a moment with your memory and recall the circumstance, situation, and or condition in which, or in response to which, these sort of troubling feelings were catalyzed. Take a moment. Review in your memory the circumstance or situation. And recall, if it's not still active or if it's active, feel your state of mind in relationship to it. Make it real. So now, we're going to do three-part right now. Reflect on your thoughts about this experience. And ask yourself, what are the stories that you tell yourself about yourself in relation to this experience? And what are the stories you're telling yourself about others, if any others were involved, or about whatever situation or circumstance catalyzed your experience? So sort of review your narrative, your thoughts about it. And consider how your stories, your narrative, influence your feelings also. And those feelings, narrative and feelings, consider how they influence your behavior. Again, honest self-reflection. Look at the stories. Which then become like reasons or excuses, of course. The ancients taught that as long as Rudra Granthi is tied, listen carefully to this, our stories, our narratives, are constructs that are rooted in our fundamental misperception. That means the stories you tell yourself, as long as Rudra Granthi are tied, are actually rooted in ignorance, what the tradition calls avidya. And that those stories do not necessarily reflect the true nature of ourselves, the true nature of others, the true nature of the circumstance, the true nature of the world around us. Reflect honestly for a moment on this teaching and recognize that you, like all of us, you individually, me, all of us, have habitual patterns. We have the habitual pattern of constructing narratives that are not based in deep insight, always, often not. And these narratives that we construct influence our feelings and in turn our behavior. So just take a moment and reflect on that. Are you sure you're right? As Byron Katie asks. And now, this to save time, and this is something that if you're listening to a digital replay, feel free to pause it and take more time with this. So now we're going to reflect on, or you're going to reflect, each of us, on your feelings about this experience. Feelings, you can use the word emotion. There's a different meaning between feeling and emotion, but let's put them together for now. Ask yourself if those feelings or even emotions were based on correct perception and understanding. Because maybe they weren't. And as long as the Rudra Granthi is tied, the tradition says they weren't. Consider how those feelings themselves, feelings or emotions, influence your narrative about yourself, others, or the situation or circumstance in which they emerged. And sense how those feelings, or remember how those feelings influenced your choices and any behavior that emerged in relationship to them. So we're seeing this interrelationship between thoughts and feelings. The ancients taught that we are not our feelings. We are not our emotions. But as long as Rudra Granthi is tied, we'll continue to identify with and be influenced by them. We're not our feelings and emotions, but as long as Rudra Granthi is tied, we will continue to be identified with them and be influenced by them. So reflect again, honestly, on this teaching. And do that for a minute and recognize that you, like all of us, have a habitual pattern of identifying with your feelings and emotions. And in turn, those feelings and emotions will influence your thoughts and your behavior. And now, again, feel free to pause if you're listening to a digital replay. But for the sake of our time, we'll continue to the third part. Now reflect on any choices you made and or your behavior that emerged in relation to this experience. Be honest, remember. Ask yourself if your choices were wise and or if that behavior was appropriate. Was your behavior or your choices aligned with dharma? The tradition calls dharma sort of righteousness about the way things are. Were your choices and behavior truly aligned with dharma, or were they reactive and even perhaps self-serving? Consider how those choices and or behaviors influence yourself, how they influenced or impacted others, and or the situation or circumstance in which they emerged. The ancients taught that our choices and our behavior create consequences. That's called karma, right? And that our choices and behavior create self-perpetuating patterns that further our entanglement in the world of name and form. So reflect honestly on this teaching and recognize that you, like all of us, have habitual patterns of behavior, and they can be self-perpetuating. And those patterns of behavior in turn influence your thinking, your thoughts, and your feelings and emotions. So you see this interrelationship between thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And from a very real and practical perspective, the yoga science of meditation includes using meditation to sort through our thoughts, feelings, and behavior in order to transform our minds. So now, drop your attention from the bodily region of the Ajna chakra to your heart. Sort of drop your attention to the core of your being, the ancients call the cave of the heart, the middle of your chest for now. The ancients taught that we all have within us the innate potential at the level of thought to see things clearly, to see into the true nature of ourselves, to see into the true nature of others, and to see into the true nature of the world around us. When we cut through Rudra Granthi, the ancients tell us, we realize, awaken to our true nature. And from that, we can actualize our higher potentials and ultimately become free. The ancients said that in that state, resting in pure being, we experience peace and joy. So that's the feeling quality of resting in one's own true nature, peace and joy. And when we act from that space, our action is in alignment with Dharma. And further, they teach that acting in alignment with Dharma creates the conditions for auspicious good fortune in our lives. Acting in alignment with Dharma creates the condition for auspicious good fortune in our lives. So now, this is the last part, with your focus in the locus of your heart, come to a deep inner stillness. And in that state, free from all narratives and their associated feelings, just come to rest in pure being. And we'll stay here for just a few minutes. And in a moment, we'll emerge with the chanting. And of course, again, I'll repeat that if you're listening to a digital replay, feel free to pause and stay much longer in that state. When I chant, join me vocally. We'll start with the longer, all four, then 3, 2, and we'll end with 1 just one time each. So when I chant, just join me quietly. And we'll bring the practice to a close, so we'll have some time to share. Here we go. Om Aim Buddhaye Namaha. Om Aim Namaha. Om Namaha. practice is now complete. And thank you. Take your own time to reemerge. And we have some 10 minutes, more or less timing worked out, to share if there's anything you would like to say or ask. And thanks again, and thank you, Stephen, for giving me this opportunity to share these teachings.
Wow. That was great. Thanks so much, Gary. That last process was wonderful. I mean, the whole thing came together beautifully. And someone asked, will there be access to a recording? And the recording will be on our YouTube channel for about another week. And then it'll be part of the package if you want to get the challenge and the recordings, or join WisdomFeed Plus, our community that we're building. That's the answer for that. But I enjoyed
and this practice was an example of that science of integrated practice that Krishnamacharya taught, where asana is in the service of pranayama, which is in the service of meditation. And of course, chanting during asana and pranayama takes the chant deeper into the core of your being so that you can use it in your meditation.
What's the science behind that?
What do you mean?
Well, you said it's the science.
The science of yoga, the science of yoga, the integrated science of yoga practice. According to Krishnamacharya, the way the tradition was originally conceived. You can do asana. It's a great practice by itself, but it really wasn't intended that way. Pranayama as well. So they work in relation to each other. The simple way that they would say it is asana prepares the breath for pranayama, and pranayama prepares the mind for meditation, and meditation prepares the heart for prayer. It's kind of how I like to poetically share it. But it's an extraordinary science when you weave them together. It becomes very powerful. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah. Feel free to put a question in the chat, or unmute yourself if you want to ask a question or share what happened for you. No, if you like, that you're welcome to do that. If you put it in the chat, I will read the question for Gary. And we have another few minutes, and if not, that's fine too. But anything.
So I just want to add something. Obviously, when I got invited to do this, I thought, well, what's a relevant thing to do? And of course, this is a time date where we are in August 2024. I don't know when you're listening to this. And we have an upcoming election. And it just seems so timely to like, wait a second, do you really know? Let's look again. Let's be more careful. And so I just thought it would be a useful and timely.
And Gary, how can people find out more about your work?
We're our American Viniyoga Institute. So it's www.viniyoga.com. And we offer ongoing programs, professional trainings in yoga and yoga therapy, inner practice retreats, which I call heart-mind retreats, and lots of online classes on asana and pranayama practice, on yoga therapy, on yoga sutras, on the Vedas, on the Mahavakyas from the Vedas, on deity yoga, Devata yoga, on all these topics. So there are online courses and trainings and workshops, retreats. Viniyoga.com, www.viniyoga.com.
Yeah, Robin just put the link in the chat if you want to.
Thank you, Robin.
Hi, Robin.
Robin is the back office of AVI. Make sure everything happens. Thank you.
Okay, I can read this one for you. Mary says, thanks, always appreciate your practices. Suzanne, what I understand the science to be is that if you practice and observe yourself, the practice works. And like all science, if we don't practice, we won't have the same outcome. And it's also a science because people have been using these practices for thousands of years. Does that ring true?
Beautiful. And the most important thing you said is, if you don't do it, it won't work. But if you do it, it really will work. And remember, I don't know, remember is only for those of you who've heard me say this 1,000 times. Asana is not about asana. It's about the body of the practitioner, right? Pranayama is not about pranayama. Meditation is not about meditation. Meditation is about you understanding and transforming your mind. It's a very practical science. And what asana, if we can reduce it to something in your spine, and from your spine, the rest of your functional anatomy and pranayama, your breath, and through your breath, of course, it influences all of your physiology, and also that mind, emotion, limbic brain, the motion, that's emotion that has a physiological response. And meditation is about the feelings and thoughts, and then the behavior that emerges from it. So it's a working tool for our own transformation, so that we can overcome sources of suffering and optimize our innate and highest potentials. And at least that's the way I learned it from my teachers. So I wish you all well in this upcoming season. Remember your pure being, and don't get plugged in or identified with your stories and changing feelings and emotions. And please don't engage in any adharmic behavior.
That's some good wisdom there. That's practical. I like that. Practical and spiritual at the same time, or metaphysical. So, Gary, that was great. Thanks everyone for showing up and for for being part of the meditation challenge, and for being here for this session. And Gary is day 5 of the meditation challenge. So if you're familiar with Gary, enjoy. And if Gary's work is new to you, you get to explore it on a deeper level. So
Thank you,
great.
Stephen. And the real challenge is use these tools for yourself on an ongoing basis. Thanks for creating this opportunity for me, Stephen, and for everyone.
My pleasure. And thanks, everyone. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. And we have another minute. I see Sheila, Sheila just taught our yoga at 10:30. I don't know.
Hi, Sheila. Thank you.
Nice to see you, Gary. Thanks for your wisdom. Wonderful to practice with you. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to stop the recording.